Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
All right, here we go. Subway Sports Talk. My name is Peter Kennedy, and I am your host. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into SST on Apple Podcasts, app, Spotify, and now on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget there's another video with a reaction to Game 1 of the NBA Finals. We got to talk some baseball. And if you're listening on the podcast, you may already heard the reaction to Game 1 of the NBA Finals. As we currently record, it is halftime. The Yankees just won a nearly perfect game, if you will, that turned into a bit of a nail biter. Joined with me is Andrew Kalanya, my designated hitter for the night. What's up, brother?
How's it going? I'm ready to talk and break down like the, most resilient and exciting New York team in maybe in all sports right now, the New York Rangers. Oh my goodness. It's so exciting to watch them just come out and score 6 goals in the Eastern Conference Finals. And Tampa, obviously they're back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, but that was a great Game 1, great Game 7, the last couple games. So much resiliency coming back when they're down. I don't know what they're gonna do if they go up 0-2, man. It's gonna be nuts. It's very excited.
Big ding for you, the Rangers. I knew you would have to bring it up because you deserve it. You've been on this team all year, unlike many other bandwagoners who are jumping on the Rangers hype train into the playoffs, which I know you believe is a great thing, and you bring it all. You say, hey, everybody, come watch how great this team is. Come see how good I look. Everyone, come see. But you get the point. So shout out to you. Shout out to the Rangers. I watched the game last night. I was actually working at the Fan and Electric Factory, just them answering every answer. That was kind of my sentiment. Obviously, they pulled away in that second period there. But, they score early, super early. Lightning come right back. Then the Rangers answer the answer. So do the Lightning. And then they answered again. Like, it literally, every time the Lightning came back in, Rangers shut it down. So shout out you, shout out Rangers. You've been on this all along, Drew. You've been trying to tell us. You've been trying to tell the people to watch the Rangers. They finally are.
Check the receipts, man. I'm pretty sure I made like a bold statement in this podcast. I checked like 5-6 months ago, and I said the Rangers are the New York team most likely to win a championship in 2022. So we're almost there, baby. We're this close. We're this close. Let's go.
One day we'll have the listenership where we have enough people that somebody just knows exactly the episode and then they can find it. Cause I'll tell you what, I'm not doing.
I know it's there though. I know,
buddy, but I don't know how to find it. But I know it's there. So shout out you. Also shout out you. We're here to talk Yankees. Let's get back on the track here to talk about the New York Yankees with the best record in baseball with now, is that 3? Is that a sweep of the Angels or is that just 2? I forget now with the rain out when it happened.
I think they got one more tomorrow.
They got one more, correct. So good start. So because it was a rain out and I just forgot.
And the doubleheader. Yeah.
So the Yankees are doing what they got to do. They're winning games now with Giancarlo Stanton on the IL, Josh Donaldson on the IL, Chapman and Loaizaga on the IL. A lot of people here in the greater New York area and beyond, Andrew, are talking about this New York Yankee team as the best team in baseball. Obviously, within New York in and of itself, the Mets fans like myself are extremely excited and proud of what they're doing. However, it's still behind the Yankees and how great they've been from a starting pitching unit to the ability to put runs on the board, even if it's always not the most consistent throughout for the lineup. So my question to you is, it may not be ridiculous to say the Yankees have been the best team in baseball to this point, but do you believe they truly are the best team in baseball when the Mets are going to play that team in LA that's pretty good? There's some teams that are starting to turn the page here in the AL East, like the Toronto Blue Jays. So Drew, true or false? The Yankees are the best team in baseball.
I don't know if I can give a true or false, but I'd say a solid maybe. It's a very wishy-washy answer. I'd lean more true than false that so far they've been the best team in baseball. But outside of my name getting slandered the last time you and Alec were on here, like I don't subscribe to the theory that just because a team is doing well, doesn't mean there's not holes and there's not worries on the roster. You can't just wipe your hand away and say, oh, it's fine. when they haven't gotten, any kind of offensive production from, four positions, from Gallo, from Hicks, from Kiner Falefa, from the catcher position. I mean, outside of Trevino's, crazy game that he had the other day, which was awesome and it's surprising. It's nice, but you have four holes in the lineup every single night basically, and you have Matt Carpenter leading off right now, so it's not perfect. It's not even close to being perfect. And if Aaron Judge isn't hitting, and Rizzo, who he was the hottest hitter in all of baseball, come in April, turn the calendar over the last 120 plate appearances, he's batting a $162. I mean, he got the big hit tonight again, but so the team is clutch. And I will say that this team is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So I will eat crow on that. I know at the beginning of the season I was very negative, maybe because of the offseason, maybe because of other factors. But this team is a lot more complete. They're great on defense. They've gotten the clutch hits. You saw it tonight. The starting pitching and the relief, even with the injuries. Clay Holmes is literally turned into probably the best relief pitcher in all of baseball right now. So a lot of things are going right, but you don't have to squint too hard to see things going wrong. If injuries continue to mount, if Judge goes in some kind of prolonged slump, you don't really have anybody else in the lineup that's really there to kind of pick up the slack outside of DJ LeMahieu. Gleyber Torres is hitting the ball way better. He's already hit more home runs in 2022 than he has in all of 2021, which is fantastic. But again, there's not a whole lot of protection in the lineup, especially with Donaldson and Stanton injured at the moment.
Great points all around. I think it's important to note the true balance. And I mean, I asked you that question, true or false. Obviously, it's kind of a BS way to ask that because I'm putting you in a corner. I'm putting you on the spot. But it feels right in the moment to say it like that, because when you really hear the discourse of the Yankee fans out there on Twitter, in group chats, the people you see out. I know I was at my my weekly softball game Tuesday night, and Mets fans and Yankee fans chirping back at each other, and it was weird to me because both fan bases, in a way, as I sat there and watched, were kind of criticizing the same thing. It's like, oh, well, you're banged up. You're not going to maintain this. Well, you're banged up. You're not going to maintain this. And it's kind of the same concept right now. Now, granted, the Mets have their two best starting pitchers hurt, and mostly their offense is healthy right now. The Yankees, on the other hand, have their 1B in Giancarlo Stanton hurt offensively right now. They're just getting picked up by a few other folks. It's a tough thing for them to keep up, however. Miguel Andujar is another guy who comes to mind now, who has been hitting the ball pretty well, despite not walking once in over 30 at-bats at this point in the season. That's okay. He's hitting the ball well. So it feels to you, and I'll use the Mets from last year as an example, it doesn't feel to you like a fool's gold clutch, correct? Like, is that going too far?
Yeah, I think that's a little too far. I mean, Miguel, it's not like, I mean, Matt Carpenter is just can be like a flash in the pan kind of, but Miguel Andujar, was runner up to Rookie of the Year, and injuries and other circumstances, kind of sucked him, out of his playing time the last couple of years. So
Right.
yeah. So I mean, I believe more in Andujar than Carpenter for sure, but at the same time, it's just like I think the clutchness and it feels special. I mean, the guys contributing left and right. Judge got his first walk-off hit this year, a walk-off home run this year ever of his career. Just a lot of you never feel like this team is out of it. So that's a really special vibe that I get from the team. So it's encouraging to say the least. And you need unexpected production from guys to go all the way. So I'll say that. But again, I feel like there's just too many holes in the lineup, even when things are going right, to feel like that this is maybe not sustainable over 162, and that they do need to go address it in some way. And I don't know. I don't think you can get rid of Aaron Hicks. He still has 3 years left on his deal. Joey Gallo, he's a free agent at the end of the year. We're at this point where he's been, he's had almost over 400 plate appearances with the Yankees, and he's not hit really at all, and he's hitting worse than he did last year. So it's not great So maybe they can upgrade maybe in a corner outfield spot. And I feel like, maybe at this point Gallo is, it's kind of the Sonny Gray situation where he's not a bad player. He's a very good player, but he just didn't mesh well in New York for whatever reason. He'd go out and have success somewhere else. And I feel like they could still probably get something for him at the deadline. I know AJ Preller, the Padres really likes, was a big fan of Gallo, drafted him back in the day. So maybe there's a fit there, but they definitely need some kind of offensive upgrade. I feel like outfield is probably the best spot to be able to do it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's unfortunate that fans will basically attack the character of somebody who can't succeed in New York or who isn't succeeding in New York. And it's like, all right, because Joey Gallo is not playing well here in New York, he's soft, he can't handle it, he's this, he's that. It's like, yeah, I mean, he's had a lot of stretches like this before in his career.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the power hasn't really come around like it normally does, no matter what. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on, right? Like if he has 4 home runs at the end of July, all right, it's long past due to change something up here. But if he starts hitting home runs and he goes all of a sudden, 6 home runs in 13 games, let's take a foot off the gas on the Gallo slander, because it doesn't mean that he's soft. It doesn't mean that he can't play in New York. It's just early enough still to just hold on that glimmer of hope. But I know Yankee fans right now listening to me are like, bro, shut up. He can't do it. Get him out of here. I don't want to watch his bad at bats. And I get that as well, especially, for example, in the game on Wednesday night where they beat the Angels game 2, Gallo strikes out. He's taking daddy hacks in an 0-1 count. And in the second, the 2-strike swing was still a big swing as well. And then he was followed by Anthony Rizzo, another lefty who took a big cack and then got 2 strikes on him and clearly shortened up and said, yo, we got the bases loaded. I am not striking out in the situation. I'm putting pressure on the defense somehow. And he hit a solid grounder up the middle and got a freaking 2 RBIs. And those 2 at-bats being next to each other makes it sting even more. So listen, I understand the frustration completely, but it's like it's still this much left of space to see what happens with Gallo if the home runs don't start swinging around. We do have some really positive things to talk about, and that's going to be with the pitching staff and Nestor Cortez. But before we get into that, is there anyone who you felt a certain way about early in the season that has completely changed you in a positive or negative way? Somebody who you had low hope for, who's exceeding expectation, or somebody who you trusted, who you're now losing trust in?
I would say
by the way.
I would say Jose Trevino, the catching. Again, he hasn't been great, but he's been much better than expected, and he's taken time away from Kyle Higashioka. And I think he's entrenched himself as the starting catcher. He's a top 2 framer in baseball, and he's been able to get some clutch hits. Maybe those are BABIP assisted hits, but he's been pretty clutch himself when he's been given the opportunity. So getting at least a little bit of offense from the catching position has been a pleasant surprise for me. On the negative side, Aaron Hicks has been just absolutely dreadful. And I'm a big Aaron Hicks fan. I tried to say I think he was one of the players that Alec and I picked to being a key to the Yankees offense because he's a switch hitter, and man, he's not even playing great defense at the moment. Like he's taking his struggles out on offense, and he's talking about he's changed his approach every other at bat, and he's taking it out into the field with them too, which is really bad because again, you still have 3 years left on the deal with him, so he's not really going anywhere. He still has a pretty long leash, so they're going to continue to run him out there. But man, it's so bad. I don't want to keep piling on Hicks because I feel like all of Yankees Twitter already does that on on a nightly basis. Every time I see the lineup card come out, it's like, and he's not in it, people are like celebrating like Hicks is not in live, and there's like confetti coming down on Twitter. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty tough for Hicks and Gallo nowadays,
Yeah.
and it's fair to say. And again, it turns into a character attack. That's just how fans are. If Alec were here, he'd tell me to shut up and say, stop pouring like cold water on fans being fans. I get it. I get fans are going to be intense, especially here in New York. They love their Yankees, their Mets, their Rangers, their Knicks, and we're going to crap all over people. Hicks has been a good player for the Yankees on numerous occasions, and then injuries derailed that. Now it seems like the injuries have just added up too much, and he's not the same athlete. It's not like Gallo doesn't seem like he's got anything wrong with him other than being bad at baseball right now. Hicks just doesn't seem like himself, and that's a different type of frustration because of the contract, because of expectation. But the Gallo and Hicks hate is almost a little bit different. Like it's kind of different paths because of one guy's old and banged up. The other guy is supposed to be in his prime and a power hound. And it's just
and like the thing is, like, Gallo's a 200 hitter anyway. So when he's batting 170, it's like he's like 5 hits away from getting up to above 200 again. So it's
he's
not
one
like
really good game away.
yeah, exactly. He's 1 3 for 4 away from getting over 200 again. So it's not like he's that, batting average wise or even on base percentage wise, he's not that far from what he is. It's just the power that's missing. And if he's not hitting home runs, then you can't really live with the substandard batting average on base. If he's hitting 40 dingers, then you can live with that. And the Yankees have lived with that in the past with the Luke Voits and Stanton when he first came over, he wasn't really hitting it for that high of average. So if the homers aren't there, and again, like you said, if it comes July, middle of July, and he has less than like 10 home runs, that's a real problem that they definitely going to have to address. And they can't just say, oh, well, let's just hope he's good in the second half and goes on a tear, because at that point you'd have a full year Joey Gallo, and it's just, and if it didn't work, then it didn't work. But I think the making that type of a trade is something that the Yankees should do and continue to keep doing going forward.
Yeah. Real quick before we get to some pitching stuff, DJ LeMahieu, I'm looking right now, April 29th, he had a 309 batting average, then went on an 0 for 5 down to 288, and pretty slowly trickled down, had a good game here and there, but trickled down from that 288 all the way down to 250, where he found himself just as recent as 2 days ago or 3 days ago now. But he had a big game today, and he is so incredibly important to this offense. Do you look at him as a guarantee to even out to the back of his baseball card? I know last year wasn't his best, but years prior on the Yankees were literally his best of a really good career. You already described how important it is to find someone else not named Judge or Stanton to carry a load here. Do you expect it to be DJ? And if so, like, when's it going? When's it coming?
No, well, yeah, he had like a wrist injury, so I feel like that when that wrist injury happened, that's when he stopped really hitting. So he did the cortisone shot, and he's starting to feel better. He's coming out of. Looks like the wrist is doing better. So I would attribute his little mini slump there to that. So as long as he's healthy, he's proven to be a spark at the top of the lineup and someone that they really desperately need. So as long as he's healthy, he'll be that guy. But health is always, he's getting up. He's 34 years old, so it's health is not a guarantee. But the Yankees have done, minus the calf strain for Stanton, which didn't even seem to be that major of a thing. Feels like he's going to come off the IL as soon as he's eligible. They've been relatively been able to keep guys, at least their position players, healthy. Now Chapman's been, his shoulder, and Green, they lost him to Tommy John, and Loaizaga has shoulder injury too. So pitchers don't seem to be holding up that well, but at least the relief pitchers anyway. But the offense outside of Stanton has been, pretty healthy all around.
Speaking of pitchers, Andrew, let's talk about the nasty man himself. Looking at it, I don't know if this is updated. I think it is. Or maybe it's actually not updated. 1.7 ERA, 9 starts, 53 innings, 61 strikeouts, only 12 walks.
He lowered his ERA to 1.50 today.
Okay, so this is not including today's start.
Not including today's start against Ohtani, who Ohtani just can't play in Yankee Stadium. Just that's
another
2
one of
starts
those
now.
soft guys. One of those soft guys,
Yeah. It's a bust.
But Nestor, yeah. So Baseball Reference didn't have it updated yet. I kind of figured it was that was incorrect there. So even better than the numbers that I just stated. Nasty Nestor. I was about to call him Nestor or something else. Nestor's been incredible. And I had a tweet today. I don't know if you saw it, but growing up playing baseball and travel ball and high school, college ball, there's always that dude who you run into who has the junk and he has a weird arm angle. he mixes it up, and he doesn't throw as hard as, he's maybe the 8th hardest thrower on his staff in general, and he just shuts you down. You can't touch the off speed, and then he throws a freaking 89 fastball by you. Not that that's what Nestor throws, but I'm just talking generally.
Yeah.
And then everybody goes back to the dugout, and they go, "Oh, it's because he throws so slow. Oh, if he threw faster, I'd smoke this guy." Like, it's like such a frustrating thing for hitters when you face a kid who might be short, who might be overweight. And again, not talking about Nestor specifically, talking generally, and you don't hit him, and he shuts you down, and the junk just F's you up. That's Nestor, man. These MLB hitters got to be out here like, bro, this guy is carving us up. What are we supposed to do? You change the approach and become more aggressive. You don't touch it because he plays with you. If you sit back, he's going to pump the strike zone and you're in bad counts. It's really incredible. And I have to say, I made a pretty negative comment about Nestor Cortes in the preseason podcast. I don't know if you remember it. I feel bad even bringing it up because it was so wrong. I made a big joke about, Yankee fans out here thinking Nestor Cortes is going to be the dude for them this year. Guess what?
He has been the dude.
He's even more so the dude than anyone could have ever imagined, and all the hype he got was extremely warranted. So, Andrew, Nasty Nestor, man, what the hell do you have to say about perhaps the Cy Young leading candidate at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. If the season ended today, he's the Cy Young candidate. He should be starting the All-Star game for the American League, and it's just like this dude who just, he was DFA'd by the Yankees twice. And, he came back, and he's a resilient guy, fun to be around. He, whatever the Yankees are feeding him information-wise, I think they did this with Clay Holmes. They did this with a lot of their pitchers where they're teaching him the slurve, they're calling it, or just this whatever curveball or slider, whatever pitch they are teaching him. He took that information, he ran with it, and he's become one of the best pitchers in the American League. And I will call him the Yankee ace. Garrett Cole is the number 2. Nestor Cortes is the Yankee ace, and it's exciting. And I would like to say that it's going to last the whole year, but I would just go out and say enjoy Nestor Cortes now. What he is, again, it seems sustainable. The way he's pitching, and because the lack of stuff, it's not like he's overpowering guys. He's using deception. He's using again, that slider, that sinker, that's it's basically unhittable. So enjoy what he's doing now. It seems sustainable, but if it all blows up tomorrow, we had a full year of Nestor Cortes being an above average, major league pitcher, and that's just fun. It just makes the him alone makes this team more fun than all of last year. Last year was absolutely miserable slog watching the Yankees every day, and this year this team plays with so much more energy, and I feel like that Nestor has kind of been like the key to that. He's been the guy that people have looked to and said, this guy's fun. They've kind of fed off that energy. It's made the team more fun. So even those kind of intangible things, he's been just so clutch for the Yankees and kind of irreplaceable.
Yeah, and I got to be honest too. When it comes to regression for Nestor Cortes, I don't think it's a regression back to being a bad pitcher. Yeah. I think it comes back to being a good pitcher.
Like it's like a 3 ERA, middle of 3 ERA type of pitcher. Yeah, absolutely.
Like a normal successful pitcher who is a top to middle rotation guy is maybe who he'll end up being at some point in time. Now, I'm not trying to sell him short on what he's doing right now and how it's going to end tomorrow. But based off of what you're watching, it doesn't seem fluky, right? It's not like he's just getting a bunch of, line drives right at people all the time. Like, he is keeping people completely off balance. And as people say on Twitter, there's more tape on him, more hitters will get up on him. He's just growing too. And he's adding more deception, more confidence to more pitches. And it truly is impressive. So when you hear about regression for Nestor, don't go to the bad place in your head where it's like, oh, damn, he's going to have a 6 ERA and be out of the rotation. I truly think this guy's here to stay. And I think that at worst, he ends up being that 2-3 guy. That was the realistic, hopeful expectation for him before the season. And now he's established his higher ceiling that who knows how long it could last.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like before the season started, I was saying like the Yankees really need a number two starter, and they've gotten that and more from Nestor and from Jameson Tyone, who again, everyone who's listening now almost threw a perfect game tonight. So like, and he's been almost as incredible as Nestor. You know, they tried to make him into like a high fastball type of pitcher, and that didn't really work last year. They had middling results, and he kind of adopted that same kind of sinker slider approach that kind of Nestor has, and it's worked for been gangbusters for him too. So he seems to be evolving as well, and unfortunately he's a free agent at the end of the year. So I hope that maybe they can retain him, or maybe the Yankees think that they've unlocked something. Matt Blake, he was the pitching coordinator for Cleveland, and they were able to develop all those aces back in the day. So maybe it's a technique sort of thing where they can just develop these guys, and they can let Tyon walk, and then create the next Tyon. But I really hope he stays. He's really likable. Again, he's really fun too, and I hope he sticks around as well. This year and beyond.
He seems to have what they call the bulldog mentality as well,
Absolutely.
which is great in your starting pitchers. You need it. You need that fight. I think we see it in Chris Bassett for the Mets, where I know he had a bad start recently, but typically that you're going to get a battle out of that guy every single time. And last thing here, Andrew, can you litigate for me mine and Alex slight interaction before there in the group chat where he wanted to blame Michael K for bringing up the perfect game, and I said, shut your mouth and you sound stupid. I know I'm unpopular in that opinion, but I feel very strongly about it. So I know I'm here. Be unbiased here, though. Who do you side with, Alec or Pete?
I'm an analytical guy, so I don't believe in I don't believe in jinxes and bad juju. That doesn't make any sense to me. Someone somewhere is talking about the perfect game, like just by Alex saying, "Hey, turn on the Yankee game right now." He's talking about the perfect game. You're jinxing it without fucking jinxing it. So enough with this. Enough with this nonsense.
Thank God. And let me be clear here. As a guy who played baseball for a long time, I get not saying anything in the dugout. I get not going up to the pitcher and being like, "Hey, bro, you got a no hitter." Like, I get that because that affects the mindset of somebody who has a direct impact on the game that is perfect or is a no hitter. Guys in the booth, bro, it's all the way up there. We're all the way over here.
Just because I moved out on my couch cushion doesn't mean that that Jameson Tyon gave up a hit, man. It doesn't make any sense. Like Jason Giambi can wear a thong and to try to break out of something. If I'm at home sitting on my couch wearing a thong because I think it's gonna help the Yankees win, something wrong here, man. There's something not right.
We got bigger problems if that's the case. And I think your son Jack will be very confused about what's going on there.
Yeah. Daddy, what's that?
Daddy, why you have mom's underpants on? Well, thank you. I hope you didn't just side with me. It doesn't sound like you did. Hope you didn't side with me because I'm here and Alex not. But
No.
I appreciate that. All right, the Mets are still in the first inning. Is that correct? Do I need to refresh that? They're in the first game of their West Coast trip. Everyone's making a big deal about it. Some people playing doomsday a little bit, perhaps, Andrew. And this is the last thing we'll talk about. It's a third inning, by the way, still 0-0.
Yep.
Doomsday for the Mets, some want to say. Dodgers, the Padres, the Angels, who are on a slide right now. So that's actually looking like it could be a better series than we anticipated amongst some other West Coast teams in the near future. If the Mets should be worried, how worried should they be?
I mean, they're playing the Dodgers for 4 games, who just got swept by the Pirates. So, I mean, the Dodgers are kind of limping a little bit right now. So they seem pretty beatable at the moment. And the Padres are maybe still the most overrated team in all of baseball. So, like, I'm not like super worried about it. And, Taijuan Walker and Bassett and guys had picked up the slack, and David Peterson pitched really well when he came back up now. So it's just like the next guy up. And the thing that's helping the Mets out so much is they really have a circular lineup outside of the catcher position. Everyone seems to be hitting at the moment. Unfortunately, Dom Smith got demoted down to AAA because he just wasn't working out, and hopefully he can figure it out and come back up and be that guy. But Ken is hitting, Alonso's hitting, Lindor's hitting, Nimmo, McNeil, everyone. It's a circular lineup up and down. So offense is totally carrying it. Edwin Diaz has been nails the trumpets. Everyone's getting on board with the trumpets in Queens. It's catchy as hell. I can't say I've watched the video of him running in with the black jersey on maybe a few times. So it's nice. It's nice. I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried about the Mets at the moment.
There you go. I mean, not that that's what I wanted to hear, but that is obviously what I wanted to hear. I do tend to agree for two reasons. They're luckily in a division that's struggling right now, right? So the fact that they have a 10-game lead going into this quote unquote really tough stretch of their schedule, it gives them a true cushion. And the way they've played leads us to believe they can play with these teams, right? So even if it's more of a split type of situation, they're probably not going to lose too much ground. And that's why when everyone's saying, oh, they're just beating bad teams, thank God they are. You know what I mean? Because it can be easily seen for the Mets to lose 2 out of 3 against the Nationals and to get swept by the Phillies. And then they only have a 3-game lead on the East right now, right? So I'm happy with where they're at right now. There's reason to believe they can hang with the bad boys from the West Coast. And I think they will. I think at minimum, it's an average road trip for them, which means they're going to stand pat in the NL East. But I think they could sneak up and just take 3 out of 4 from the Dodgers. Why not? Like you said, that lineup has been
it's not going to be different. It's going to be much different than last year, where that basically that West Coast trip where they played like the Dodgers and Giants like 15 times in like 17 days or something like that, and it absolutely sunk their season. I don't think they're, it's not going to happen this time. It's a much different team. It's a much more confident team. That team last year, they were fighting for their lives, and they just didn't have the pieces to do that, didn't have the leadership to do that. So I think Buck Showalter has this team and, all in the same direction. And, a good manager can help, help weather those type of storms and those road trips and, kind of just take it a game at a time. So the Mets are in a really good spot. Again, they're beating the teams they're supposed to be. And I think the Yankees are doing the exact same thing. They beat Baltimore. They played like Baltimore like 15 times before they played like the Rays once. And they split that series down the Trop. So you split the series with the Dodgers, or even if you lose 3 out of 4, that's really not that big of a deal. You still have the Padres up, and then you play the Brewers and I think like the Marlins and somebody else. So it's not like it's a huge gauntlet. And again, they play the Angels, who've been struggling as well. So it's, you talk how many games are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games on this road trip. So if you go 5-5 or 6-4 or 4-6, I don't think that's that much of a disaster, to be completely honest with you. You built that cushion up for a reason. So if you play 500 against the better teams, you'll be fine. So what does that say about them going forward? I mean, going against top NL teams, I don't know.
Without their
without their
guys,
two aces, without
right?
DeGrom and Scherzer, then I think that's pretty good if you keep your
Right.
head above water. And I think that's all that they have to do right now. And I think they're doing that, and some.
And it obviously matters how they lose, right? Like if they lose 4 out of 4 out of, I'm sorry, if they lose, or if they go 4-6 and have a losing record over the next 10 games, if in 5 of those 6 losses they get smoked, it's going to feel a lot different than if they fought and scored runs off of good pitchers and etc. So there's a lot that can happen. I'm feeling good about it. There's a reason to feel frisky for us Mets fans, and I won't take any Yankee fans trying to pour cold water on us when we can throw cold water right back at you. It's super fun to have New York baseball being elite on both sides of the boroughs here. So I'm thrilled to have it. Andrew, we went 15 minutes over the planned time of 20 for this baseball segment, but it was a good one. Any last words for the baseball fans, the Rangers fans, the Marvel fans, the Star Wars fans? I don't know. A lot of fans of ours that listen to many different things and watch many different things. What do you got to say?
Oh man, it's a great time to be alive, man. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series is fantastic. Uh, Multiverse of Madness was better than I expected it to be. The Rangers are hot, the Yankees are hot, the Mets are hot. Everything's coming up Millhouse, my friend. That's a Simpsons reference for those that don't get it. It's a show from the 90s. It's the yellow cartoons. So yeah. So if you don't know what that is.
I do know that.
No, I'm talking about the listener. And I know you do, Pete.
Yes, of course. So to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh.
And that's all we have for Subway Sports Talk. Some Yankees talk, some Mets talk. We'll be back with a longer Mets segment soon next week. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to click over to that NBA Finals Game 1 reaction that I'm going to do. And as the Warriors pulled away in that third quarter, still in reach here in the fourth for the Celtics to make it a close one. So I'll shut up now and let the game finish and come back and talk about it, which if you're on the podcast app, you already heard. So thanks for listening. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.
See ya.